Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the WGLNA Season 1 Gold League. I'm your host, Christian Toma. To my left, you know him, you love him, David Williams. Make sure to check us out on Facebook and YouTube, /WGLNA. And as always, follow us on Twitter, @WGLNA, where you can stay up to date with what's happening in the community around you.
While you're in that browser, pop open another tab and check out battleviewer.com. Now, we discussed this a little bit last week, but some of you may still be asking, why? Why BattleViewer over Twitch? Let me point out a couple things. First off, it's the same Twitch chat you're used to already, so you're not losing anything. You get to view standings, match listings, quick access to YouTube and Twitter through there. Really, there's no reason for you not to already be watching on BattleViewer.
Absolutely, and also while you're there, open up another tab and go ahead and check out FantasyWGL.com. This is Wargaming's World of Tanks Fantasy League. That can happen at the beginning of the night. Go ahead and you pick your teams. You just sign in. Super easy. They accumulate points for you guys, and points lead to prizes. Prizes being in-game premium time, in-game gold, and also premium tanks that you can no longer get, like the Hype 59. So a lot of fun to go over and check it out. But enough of me talking. Let's roll the clip. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. A fantastic website. Now, David, for my picks this week, I picked up, well, I always actually have Meadowhawk. It's a thing that he and I have, and it's been working out. I've been going up by 200 points every week. But for tonight, I'm really excited. E63 from Refuse and Arclet from eLevate. They're playing first. I'm expecting it to go long, and hopefully a lot of points accumulated there. But enough of me talking, because you are ranked #1 in the region right now on Fantasy, which is crazy to me. So what do you have to say? For now, there's a huge target on your head.
I fully expect a drop. I mean, there's nowhere to go but down for here.
Sure.
So I agree. Your Arclit and the E63 are great picks. Now, everybody expects eLevate and Refuse to go long.
Yep.
So this is probably a match you want to put 3 people in, right? Double up on one team and, just get somebody else from the other side. So whether or not you think or I think that eLevate is going to beat Refuse in this situation, I think Refuse has 2 players that stand out as earning the most points for them more often. So win or lose, they stand a better chance of garnering more points in general than, say, picking 2 people from from eLevate there.
Sure.
Because they're just so spread.
Yeah.
Right. The damage is spread all throughout. So I'm going with KT and E63 M6 and Arclit from that battle.
All right, you heard it, ladies and gentlemen, from the mouth of the king right now. But again, he could fall. You should get a prize for overthrowing him. Maybe we can work that out. But as of yet, not the case. If you missed anything from last week, let's go ahead and look at this scores from Thursday's matches. Up first, we had Simp versus Synergy. Simp beating Synergy in tiebreaker 5-4, followed by Lamp and 07, which didn't play, so 07 took that game. Game Over versus Maple Freedom. Game Over winning 5-4, and finally High Voltage beating Rival 5-2 in the end. Now, David, let's walk through just the 3 matches of Thursday. Up first, we had Simp versus Synergy. What are some of the highlights you saw from that? Because got really close, but Synergy almost pulled out a victory, but Simp decided to win in the end.
What I saw was neither team playing as well as they could have. Now, I think Synergy played better than Simp overall. Simp exploited a few mistakes, some which were bigger mistakes.
Okay.
And ended up coming out with a win. In particular, there's a kind of a throw on Ghost Town, and obviously the Steps tiebreaker did not go in Synergy's favor in that instance. But I think Synergy played an overall more comprehensive game, and I think I've come to expect more from Simp in that instance. And I think they have nowhere to go but up from what they saw last week. So I'm excited to see if they play well today.
Awesome. That would be very exciting to see. Indeed, Lamp versus 07 was next. Lamp decided to forfeit, so 07 took that one. Not much to talk about there. Third, Game Over versus Maple Freedom. Game Over getting a much-needed win there. I mean, that was their first win of the season so far. Also, they quadrupled their amount of battle wins in that night as well. So a great play from them. And Maple Freedom not quite playing as you could have expected.
Yeah, it's certainly not the Maple Freedom we've seen play so far. Now, we've seen them play very up and very down. And I was kind of hoping they would stay on that uptrend. But Game Over stepped it up a lot from what we've seen in the past, and we were able to take it away in a very close battle. But I'm interested to see if both teams can keep that going. Yeah. I think Maple has a lot more to show than what they did last week, though.
Absolutely. And finally, we had High Voltage versus Team Rival. High Voltage beating Rival 5-2. It just seems that they're just continuing this really good streak, High Voltage, that they're on.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think they played as well in the last game as they did in the one before that. But still, they're definitely getting a lot of it together. And even though some of the moves they make don't seem as well rehearsed, they're always very comfortable and confident in what they're doing. And they can play a messier game than a lot of other people can, with aside from perhaps #RU. And we'll see if, eLevate and Refuse and Simp and Noble and these other teams can play that type of game. But right now, the only two I've really seen do it are #RU and High Voltage.
Yeah, so it'll be exciting to see them play tonight, actually. Let's take a look at the standings, though, for what's happened in well, we are in week 4. Up top, #RU at the top, still with 12 points, followed by Refuse and 07 at 11, very close. And down at the bottom, Rival, Game Over, and Lamp. Lamp still with no points. And David, being some of those bottom teams, relegation starts creeping up on you. How much pressure is that coming into this?
That's a pretty significant amount of pressure. Nobody wants to have to go through qualifiers again. Right. Nobody wants to be a team that gets kicked out of the league. It's not a good feeling.
Sure.
I would assume.
Oh,
it's never happened to me.
Never happened to you.
I mean, whatever. We're not going to get into that. And there's a number of teams right now that all could be facing relegation. It's a much tighter race than a lot of other seasons where there's usually kind of a standout two or however many that really aren't getting anywhere. Right now, the only team that doesn't have any points at all is Lamp.
Right.
They forfeited their last match, so
right.
Good chance that they're facing some sort of relegation right now, but they're kind of a good team, so maybe they can bring it out.
All right, let's see that indeed. Let's take a look at the matchups for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Up first, we're going to have eLevate versus Refuse, followed by #RU versus Synergy. Third is going to be Noble versus 07, and to finish out the night, Simp versus Maple Freedom. Now, David, out of all the 4 matches tonight, which one are you most excited to see?
eLevate and Refuse.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not an underdog kind of person. I want to see the best teams play.
Yeah.
As best as they possibly can. Nobody makes a throw. It's just fantastic game from everybody and let the best man win. That's what I want.
Sure.
And out of all the matches today, that is the highest level of talent. Although, I could also say that #RU and Synergy could be quite interesting as well. Not to disrespect any other teams,
sure.
But just because Synergy has got a lot of momentum going with them right now. I mean, they lost that last match, but they're getting better at an accelerated rate, compensating for the players they've lost faster than I would have expected. And #RU, I mean, they play really up and really down. They've beaten eLevate. They've also lost to 07. It's kind of which #RU are we going to see show up today? So that one could go along as well, but just looking at the roster, eLevate and Refuse.
Yeah, same here. I'm, like you said, excited to see that high level play. It does seem as if there's just crazier tactics that are pulled out, or maybe some moves that we haven't been seeing. And it's always fun to see those 2 top tier teams play against each other to really kind of hold that. Who's going to be in in the top of the league for this season? Ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it for our pregame show. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't go anywhere. Well, if you are going to go anywhere, go to battleviewer.com if you're not there already. But don't go anywhere. We'll be back with match number 1 right after this. You want when the tank you're shooting at only has one more shot to go, but there it is. Anthem finding Magos, and now there's a 3-on-2 heavy 20 with 4 shots in that AMX 100. There's one of them, and now they're going to try to collapse him and take it 9-4, gets the other one off, but he does get the second one off. Warbander going to finish him off, and 60 trying to get around the corner. Blue Boys captain on the chase. There's a little slide, and nice pickup from Blue Boys captain. One more tank remains. Anvil getting a shot at Warbander, nothing connecting. Blue Boys going to finalize the deal. 4 victories now, 4 high. The response, but is now down to 9 more seconds. Static and G-Forcer have to find this rush. They have to do it quickly. Arclet getting a good pickup on Eclipse down there in the south, and now it's Arclet and Emerald against Master Putin. Getting the reset, exactly what they needed. G-Forcer coming up, and now it's a 3v2. Let's see if #U can turn this around. G-Forcer getting a lot of damage on Valera there, who is going extremely low. Game Booster finding Zodella. Static picking up Valera, the resets are coming out. Now it is a 2-on-2, Abrasive finding G-Forcer. Static needs to find Kazo to make this worthwhile up on top. Static is going to find him, and now it is a 1-on-1. The AMX 100, who just used his last shot and is now going to be on the run from Static, who's going to have free reign over him for a solid amount of time here. Taking a lot of damage, getting cut in front of Pride. 716 jumping below half, and they're rushing to these three members. Jay Smooth getting annihilated. Photo finish, a great pickup there as they're rushing to the back. Executus now going to be the one. They're running right for Dry Knights in that 1390. He's getting as much a shot as he can. Executus with a great amount of ram damage. Moderator getting extremely low. He was one more shot. Let's see if they can pick it up before he has anything to say. Brodus can be able to find this. Tanks dropping left and right. Extremely aggressive play coming out for Synergy Gaming on defense here. Not sure if it's going to work out for them as Nis going to find Executive Pride. Center, cap point. Let's see if Rival has a good response in this. Some shots going in, firing by Blue Boys captain over on the side. Nothing connecting yet. Now down to 10 seconds. Wallhacks either pop around and get a shot off quick, or Rival is just going to run in and take this one. But over on the side, Angry coming on. Wallhacks popping out, getting destroyed before he can take a shot off. But to Killzor, getting a good chunk into there. Exactly what they need to reset the cap, but the pressure is still on, and being a tank down, Rival hopefully can maintain the lead they have, but a lot. Picking him up, Heavy 20 also finding the Django. World War II Fnatic though gonna try to respond by taking Heavy 20 down, but this Killzor is one shot away. World War II Fnatic gonna pick that one up. HK coming around from behind as the Anfield finding Anubis. A 4-on-4 now with the HP in favor of High Voltage, but ever so slightly as Valkyrie finding Angry Guy. Ox Mathis in 1932 trying to find one more shot in the hole. If he can shoot it, he will go down. He does, he finds it. Taking down that IS-3, a great pickup, but might have to sacrifice himself for it unless he can get out of here before HK has a response. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the WGLNA Season 1 Gold League. I'm your host, Christian Toma. That is David Williams. Make sure to check us out on Facebook and YouTube, /WGLNA. And as always, go ahead and follow us on Twitter, @WGLNA, so you can check out what the question of the day is.
Jiz, who's your favorite team to watch this season? Christian, why don't you take that one?
So at first, the first thing came to mind was just watching Game Over in the qualifiers send all those tanks flying over the cliff. That was fun for me to watch. But coming in as far as the majority of the season goes, I've been loving watching High Voltage, just mainly because of Ox Mathis and just some of the amazing plays that they can put in on that guy. How about you?
You know, I like watching different teams for different reasons. #RU is definitely up there as one of my favorite teams to watch so far. But right now, I'm going to have to agree with you, High Voltage. And it's not necessarily because they have the best strategy or the best play or anything along those lines. It has none of that kind of bias. Just for some reason, they generate highlights. You know, like one-shotting with artillery, crazy drift shots, things like that are just fun to watch. Whether they're playing well or not, it's always fun to watch.
Totally. But first, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to have our first match of the night, eLevate versus Refuse. And we are excited to say that we're bringing back the Skype face-offs between the two members of each team. From eLevate, we'll be having Zoid. And from Refuse, Cool Hammer. We just got a message, actually, only Cool Hammer is going to be in on this one. We'll see if he's ready in for that. Let's see. Cool Hammer, welcome to the show.
Hey guys, how are you doing?
Fantastic, sir. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. Glad to be here.
Great, great. So I have a question for you, sir. You guys made your first loss of the season last week against Noble. Can you tell us a little bit about what happened there and what you guys have done to address that?
Versus Noble, they were really prepared versus us, and they did really well. They caught us on our mistakes, and they won. We did a lot of mistakes, and we weren't really prepared for that, so a loss happened, and we deserve it.
That happens to the best of us. Now, you signed with Team Refuse this season. What can you tell us about how that came to be and what that means for your crew?
Since some season, we're looking for a sponsor. We're looking like not feeling really any pressure. We wanted to become real professionals and not play for only the 10 of us. We wanted to really take it to the next level. We were looking into some sponsors, and we talked to Team Refuse CEO and Nick, and then we just talked with him many times. We agreed on many things, and here we are with Team Refuse.
Yeah, I'm glad it's working out for you guys. You guys are doing a great job so far. Congratulations on the success you guys have been seeing in the season. If we had Zoid here, I would ask you, if Zoid were here, would you have any words for him?
Good luck. That's it.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, Cool Hammer. Best of luck. We'll see you in the battle.
Thanks. See you soon.
I agree. Now, talking about both these teams, highlighting what Coolhammer said, going through a sponsor, right? Sponsor changing. Have you experienced that? And does that kind of mix a team up, or what can that look like?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing when you're signing with a sponsor is it's just a lot of time spent dealing with the paperwork and kind of working out the contract details.
Okay.
And then there can be some pressure that is added to it, depending on who your sponsor is or just your own personal pressure. I mean, we certainly put more pressure on ourselves whenever we sign with Fnatic. I don't know if that's true. We always kind of put a lot of pressure on ourselves. But either way, it's when you start representing somebody else other than yourself, it does kind of add a different layer of things for sure.
Sure. Now, looking at both of these teams, if I'm not mistaken, both of them lost for the first time last week on the same day. So it seems as if these teams are very kind of neck and neck. They're very even with the play styles coming on. How important is it being a team that's, finding a team that's similar to you or maybe having similar victories and defeats? How important is it to take a victory up, like one up them?
I mean, no matter what, and this is going to be kind of like the loophole answer. It's always important to get a victory. But the exact question you're getting at in this instance is how important is it for teams this similar with this kind of point distribution to beat one another?
Sure.
Just standings aside.
Right.
Well, right now, it's extremely important for both of them. eLevate and Refuse both play very, very similarly in kind of a strategy-focused, less of a individual play thing. They're team cohesive units.
Okay.
And how their strategy is run when they both play well, it reflects that. But when they're playing kind of as individuals and their team strategy falls apart, neither one of them does particularly good so far. This is the reason why both of them lost, basically, is when the battle got messy, they didn't really keep it together. So it's kind of a match of who can either play in the mess that they create better or who can maintain their strategy better. So in a lot of ways, this is drawing a line in between who is going to be potentially number one and who is potentially number two. And there's other teams thrown into the mix. But right now, in this particular style of battle, there's really only the two of them. Yeah, so we're about to find out who's better at it.
That's right. That's so much tension going into this first match of the night. Another question, going like you were saying, if these teams are very similar, right? You're battling against someone who has a similar play style as you. You're both maybe more experienced than the rest of the teams in the league. Do you try to is it better to throw curveballs at times, or is it better to just stick to that strategy you've been working on?
Oftentimes, when you throw a curveball, you end up kind of receiving your own curveball.
Gotcha.
You make your own destiny, and it gets into a situation where if your players aren't making their own quick decisions and they're relying on an overall battle caller to tell them what to do, it can get problematic very fast. Let's go to rosters while we got a chance.
Yeah. Now looking at both of these teams, David, both on eLevate and Refuse, highlight some of the key players.
Well, for eLevate, so far it's been Zone Delta and Arclit largely topping the scales, although Static is definitely putting up a lot of damage as well, and Swipple recently changed out of the team. Meanwhile, for Refuse, it's KT and E63M6, pretty much all the way. On all these teams, everybody's important, but those are the standout players.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, we are ready for our first battle of the night, Match 1, eLevate versus Team Refuse. Let's get right into it and check out what we've got for our tanks.
For tanks from eLevate, in the red this time, we have a 5100, a T32, 4 T54 lightweights, and a T37. Meanwhile, Team Refuse in the blue, 5 T54 lightweights, and 2 Panthers, also known as the Awful Panther, because it's pretty awful.
Okay.
So I am definitely intrigued to see what they do with it. It is a large vehicle, so there's a good chance they can use it as, well, they're on defense. I would say it's kind of a good cap screen, but perhaps they have discovered that it is just very good in some sort of light fight. I don't know necessarily why you'd take that over the LTTB. I'd have to play it to know for certain, and up until now, I have never really had a reason to play that thing more than the very few matches I played at the beginning. But we're already getting some very aggressive movement out of Team Refuse, and they have a separation if they wanted to take it and saw it. He might be able to take advantage of, but Arclit is backed up by Zone Delta and a 5100. That is a weak spot that is not as weak as it looks. It could be a very nice trap if Refuse bought it, but they didn't. Looks like they're making some sort of power play, and now they are spreading out, but they have given up a lot of important territory very early.
Sure. Now, Dark God Zim, that T-37, already applying cap pressure. Only one member who's not going to go down too quick. Refuse has plenty of time to respond to this, but I kind of want to highlight what you're saying, David. It looked like a very decisive push coming out from Refuse right there in the beginning, sending all their tanks up and over the hill, not even trying to get to the top, but just really push over to the enemy side. And then not really seeing anyone, only, I believe it was Arclet back there. When you do that, well, before I start talking, let's see this damage is coming across. A lot of damage going to Memory Leak. Over on that Panzer there, coming from the side, over on the other side. Seeing extremely low, and Azrael going to pick up an easy kill on to that member of Refuse, and now Elvate's going to push over. They do have an overmatch here. Dazzling time. That T-54 lightweight needs to be careful as he's backing up, trying to find some cover. But over on the side, KT finding Zone Delta, a 1-for-1 exchange. And over there in the corner, a lot is happening. Cool Hammer getting extremely low, but Arclet looks like he's in trouble. He's going to go down any moment now. Let's see how eLevate can respond to this. Or if they're just going to let that T-32 go down for free. Drogon going across the side, finding G-Forcer on the island. And back here, Azrael on Dazzling Time. Dazzling Time getting extremely low. One more shot, and he will go down. Azrael going to pick it up, and Amar Lee finding E63. Only 4 tanks remain for Refuse as they're pushing over here onto the lighthouse. Drogon gonna find Azrael, a good pickup there from across, almost across the map it seems. Now Rude Awakening and Dark God, a one-on-one on this hill there. Let's see who can go down quick. Rude getting a lot of shots off, but one more shot from Dark God. He will pick up Rude Awakening, leaving just 3 members on the side of Refuse. But we do have Static in that T-54, who is 1 shot. So maybe even health extremely close between these two teams. And David, after that little skirmish there, who would you say came out on top?
Well, right now, eLevate is in superior position, but Refuse has more hit points on the tanks that matter. Static is 1 shot away. T-37 Dark God Zim is 1 shot away, which leaves a very, very low set of hit points total between G-Forcer and MR Lee. However, both of those players are very good in their tanks. Refuse likely going to take more damage as they try and cross onto wherever they're trying to go. Looks like they're attempting to take hill. Actually, nobody's really in position to take advantage of that, but KT is by himself at C1, and that is risky. There is a chance that if MR Lee and G-Forcer push, they can take that out. Dark God Zim going down in that meantime. Very important for Team Refuse.
So we were saying Static still 1 shot over there, that T-54. Some shots going across back and forth over this little ravine here. eLevate being on the offense are the ones who have to make the move. 3 minutes and 20 seconds now. Again, no victories so far, being the first battle, first match of the night. Drogon taking a little bit of damage there from Static. Static being able to freely dish that out. And now we have Amar Lee and G-Forcer looking like they're on the move, bypassing Cap and possibly going over and joining their friend. Now, if you were eLevate, would a good move maybe be straight going for this western, the eastern Cap in the village there?
Eastern Cap is very exposed, and unless you know it's 100% safe, I personally wouldn't go there. They're doing what they need to do right now, trying to take hill control and find where Refuse is running to block Refuse from getting back to Cap, and then they can put somebody on it. Maybe. Or just go for the actual engagement. It's going to take a minute for them to get actual positions and see what there is to be seen before they know that for sure. KT taking a shot from Amar Lee.
Yeah.
Every shot matters at this point in time. KT taking way too much.
Damage.
This is slipping back into eLevate's hands slowly, but surely so far.
That's it, dropping down to below half. KT and that T-54 has to be careful. Amar Lee extremely healthy there on that hill. A good little position there. Cool Hammer doing a good job is hiding in those bushes. Not yet spotted. KT popping out, maybe trying to get some more movement here. Static still maintaining in that H3 line, not moving it. Again, he is extremely low. He's got to be careful. And it does seem, when it does come down at these moments, we're down 1 minute and 55 seconds. It looks like Amar Lee is going to go ahead and bail off the hill here on that T-54 and try to maybe go around to get some nice shots in as G-Force are pushing up. They spot Cool Hammer. 1 shot goes in. A shot from Amar Lee missing. That's a great miss for Cool Hammer. Let's see if they can respond. Drogon taking a shot against G-Forcer. Nothing connecting it. And now Amar Lee on his way through the city. KT trying to find him. Misses the shot. Cool Hammer going to go ahead and duck below those rocks there. And 1 minute and 30 now. eLevate needs to do something quickly as Cool Hammer takes some more damage, getting extremely low. 1 more shot and he will go down. Static on the move. He has been spotted by Cool Hammer. Let's see if the shot can go out. Who can connect first? Static has the shot loaded and ready to go, and he will find Cool Hammer. A great pickup there for the side of eLevate. Now down to 1 minute and 10 seconds. eLevate now should be pulling the trigger and pushing up against here against just Drogon and KT remaining for Team Refuse. Shots going out against G-Forcer, 237. KT do a good job trying to duck behind cover. Drogon taking 275 points of damage up on the hill, and Static gonna pick him up, another tank dropping. It is just KT remaining for the side of Refuse, and eLevate is now surrounding him. Static gonna find the shot, a good pickup there, and eLevate will take the first victory of the night against Refuse here. Now, David, let's kind of talk about that, because I mean, toward the end, it slowed down. It looked like eLevate had pushed over on the side. They had switched positions. But I kind of want to go back and highlight Refuse's really aggressive push in the beginning. When you do something like that as a team, you put all of your members, and you don't just take the hill, but you push and keep going on top, what are you looking for? You're looking to just find an overmatch really quickly in the beginning?
Basically, just some sort of overmatch. I don't know exactly why you would do that in particular.
Okay.
What exactly they were looking for, but the general concept is, yes, you look for somebody trailing, somebody who they left maybe on that little set of hills at A4, somebody you can pick up for free. But overall, strategically, I don't think it was the right call. They gave up the southwest corner too easily, which cost a lot as the game progressed. eLevate got that foothold and then slowly worked him out. And this is what we were talking about before. Both of these teams play that kind of game, a positional, slower kind of game that is very strategy-based.
Sure.
And both teams can break out speed when they need to. I mean, Refuse tried right off the bat.
Right.
Perhaps throwing the curveball you were talking about before. But it didn't pay out. And then over time, eLevate just called their way back in. Not a whole lot to look at its stats in particular. Just we'll vocally point out, Static took 15 shots, hit 13 of them, and penetrated 11 of them for 2,600 damage.
Wow.
3 kills overall. So with this little sliver of health, he kept elevating the game, and without his position there at the end, I don't think they would have been able to take out Refuse. That slow play through the island area, through the 1-2, getting shots into behind for where people were. You need that angle, and you need just as much as you needed Amarly in the top of the hill and Amarly to make that play over the A line. It was just great play from eLevate to close that up in a situation that a lot of teams would throw.
Really?
It's very easy to lose from there.
Okay.
So you start pursuing your enemy, and they just keep retreating to these different positions and sniping you.
Sure.
But eLevate shot very well, and they made those positions correctly, or made those moves correctly with proper support from each other, and it paid off.
Right, like you're saying, it's exciting to see these kind of higher skilled teams not rush into things and play defensively. But ladies and gentlemen, we're ready for our next battle, eLevate versus Refuse. eLevate 1 up. Let's see if Refuse hopefully doesn't throw another curveball, if they can play a little more decisively. As we're into the battle, let's take a look at what we got for our tanks.
eLevate with a 5100, a T32, 4 T54 lightweights, and a T37. Same thing they brought last time, in fact. Team Refuse not bringing the same thing. 3 IS3s, 2 T54 lightweights, the Alf-Claw Rogues Panther, and an LTTB. I'm sure somebody in chat right now who actually speaks German or knows these names is like, that's not how it's said.
Sure.
I can call it the Awful Panther instead, which if I were in chat, that's what I'd be saying.
So,
there is nothing else. It's the Awful Panther.
Yeah, I believe you. Maybe you are first. They can't argue that, right?
In fantasy, I don't know about pronouncing tank names.
That's true. It is fantasy. One thing I do want to talk about the Awful Panther. Well, you said it's generally not the best tank. So what is a reason for a team to bring it?
I really don't know. I really just don't know. I don't know the tank well enough. Everything I've ever heard about it has been terrible. When I played it, it was terrible. Okay. They have to have some very specific use for it, but it is so bad that I couldn't even speculate. I mean, we talked about the different lights that we've had before, T21, T37, etc. And I had a pretty good idea. Even if I hadn't played some of those tanks in a while, I knew what they were good for, different spotting range, different DPM, that kind of thing.
Sure.
I don't with the Alpha Panther.
Okay.
As we've done many times now, every time I've played it, it's been awful.
Well, I mean, obviously it gets its nickname from somewhere. One thing I want to point out, Memory League, who is now just being spotted over in that A5 line, doing a really good job of getting out there. Again, just recently got spotted. Now that position that he's in, how much? Obviously, Arclet is backed up by the T54 and so Delta up there in that AMX 5100. But Memory League, what are some key things that he could do in that position?
Memory Leak, he's just kind of doing some scouting runs to see if he gets lit, to see if he can get an angle to go over the top through the AB column. Okay. That's my guess. Checking to see if anybody's at A4 by deduction, by seeing if he got spotted or not. It's kind of how you drive a tank like the LTTB. anybody who's familiar with how the 50-2 used to drive, you didn't want to find anything directly. You didn't want to spot it. If you spotted it, it was probably too late and you were dead.
Okay.
What you did instead was do these kind of expanding circles or semicircles to see if you were lit during your run. And if you were, then you tried to isolate where you could be spotted from in order to figure out where a tank is, and then you find the right angle to go in there and actually spot them, usually with some tanks there to help back you up. In this case, they should have known where the T-32 Arclet is, and here they are. 2 IS-3s to back it up. They coaxed a shot out of Arclet, so perhaps these two can win. Christian, here goes.
Absolutely, here we go. A lot of damage coming across Arclet on that T-32. The Amar Lee gonna find Coolhammer. A good pickup for eLevate. A great response, and now Team Refuse is backing up, sending Dazzling Time out of there. So he's trying to get shots up on Zone Delta. It sounds like he's been tracked. Not a good position to be as he's trying to find some safety, but over on the other side, explosive damage is coming across Dark God Zim, who is dropping now below half health. He's trying to get out of there, and over in the southeastern corner, Rude Awakening and Drogon fighting against Static and Azrael. E63 taking some damage from across the way against Amerly. Amerly getting some damage in response. Fights breaking out all across the map here. Memorly looks like he's trying to reposition to get a good shot in onto Arclet in that LTB. Let's see if he can help his teammate before Dazzling Time goes down. KT taking a little bit of damage as well in the back there, backing off in that ISR, and Dark God actually being the focus of Memory League there. And that T-37 eLevate has been pushed off cap. The cap has stopped. And now Refuse with just a slight HP lead. A little over 200 against eLevate, but a tank down. And David, from that exchange, looking at fights breaking out across the map all at the same time, really. What was the response Refuse should have to losing a tank like that when trying to go in for Arclet?
That's a hard call. I mean, they really just didn't want to lose the tank to begin with. Responding to it is basically just going into damage control. Right now, trying to get the LTB Memory League in and get the shots in Arclet. They really don't have anyone else who can do the damage. Dazzling Time cannot afford to turn around that corner. Memory League getting one shot in there.
Oof.
A few more, but Arclet's almost loaded. He is playing a dangerous game with his life. Something you typically don't want to do in something as small as the LTB, but he's got a number of shots of damage in on some of the opponents. He's keeping Arclet going back and forth. And as soon as Refuse sees an angle to fight in the south to reliably distract anybody who's in the middle, fight going on LTTB and Amarly.
There we go. Like I said, going against an Arclet, gonna pick up Memory League over there. Amarly doing a great job pushing him out into the open where Arclet get a nice shot, and now Dazzling Time looks like he might be the focus as Arclet does have a shot. He's crawling up the hill trying to find that IS-3. But if Dazzling Time has a shot before, it might not spell good, but Arclet fighting the shot before Dazzling Time can get everything. More tanks dropping from the side of Refuse. eLevate still all their tanks up. Although they are not healthy, the guns vastly outmatched Team Refuse here. 1 minute and 55 seconds. Dark God Zim hopping back onto that cap, putting some pressure on Static and that T-54 over there, trying to keep Drogon Pro and Rude Awakening in their place. Now, you're looking at such a vast tank lead on eLevate's side. Explain to me why, because the HP is still in Refuse's favor. Maybe having an autoloader would be an amazing situation right now for Refuse.
Yeah, it could definitely clean up a lot of things if it didn't come with its own inherent risks. What they really needed to do was to either close on Arclet or not. And you can't expect the move that was coming out from eLevate there, moving Amarly over there. And Refuse needs to have something planned in the event of anything that happens. So if you see eLevate respond by going north, because eLevate is the team that had to respond, right? They're on offense. If whatever the response is, if they go north, you need to move south. If they go south, you need to move north. And you need to have that already geared up and ready to go, and you just wait. Instead, they kind of foiled their opportunity to get the T-32. However, there's only 7 seconds left on cap, and it's on Refuse to get this reset, or the match will go to eLevate.
That's right, but KT getting a good pickup. Let's see, E63 coming up the side. He's trying to find the reset if he can. Taking some damage. He's going to find Dark God Zim, getting a nice reset, ramming Amarly, but Amarly going to pick him up before he goes down himself. Now just 30 seconds remain, but cap pressure has been neutralized for the side of Refuse. Amarly cannot cap that himself. It is up to eLevate to clean up the 3 remaining tanks that are on the map. Drogon looks like he's going to be the first focus. Azrael trying to find it. Let's see if his shot can get up. No, Rude Awakening going to shut Azrael down. 18 seconds remain. Amarly and G-Force are running as quickly as they can to try to find these tanks, but it is not looking good as Team Refuse just needs to survive just for a couple more seconds now. 6 seconds. Emerald though finding Rude Awakening. Just 2 more. If they can find Drogon and KT, but the time is running out. 0 seconds, and Refuse looks like they're going to hold it on defense, tying it up 1-1 there. Wow,
Ooh.
that got down to the wire.
That was closer than it should have been, but Refuse just staying the course. Now, I'm. It's frustrating me that I don't know why they're bringing the Awful Panther here.
Sure.
My guess is it just has better depression than the LTTB, but I don't remember it having very good depression.
Okay.
But other than like, there has to be some significant reason why you take why they're taking that as opposed to the LTTB. And my only guess, because really the only flaw in the LTTB is its depression. So that's the best guess I got.
Okay. Maybe in chat if you can confirm that.
I'm sure they've been correcting me the whole time. I'm sure.
guys
Hey,
are good about
but
that.
you know, if I had a stat sheet in front of me, I'd know the answers too.
Yeah,
Anyways,
that's true.
so really there, I mean, just both teams taking it and throwing it and taking it and throwing
Okay.
it several times. Arclet should have gone down for that exchange. On the flip side, Dazzling Time and his buddy in the IS-3, who I believe was Coolhammer, both of them should have gone down as well. If you're going to make that play for Refuse, send 2 IS-3s over the top like that, you have to expect some shots from the island. So you have to have some sort of other move planned. So if the guys in the island are shooting this way, they can't be shooting someplace else. So what are you going to do to take advantage of that? Right? You never want to have something where a spread offense or defense, anytime a team is spread like that, they usually put their shooters in the middle, 5100s, anything with high DPM. You want to make sure that when they're firing one direction, you're taking advantage of the lack of fire in another direction. Or you're just kind of playing things more like checkers instead of chess. You're trying to take one unit at a time instead of setting up an overall trap to sweep the entire team away.
Gotcha.
Really eLevate through that far more than Refuse won it, and they had several chances to win. They fumbled it multiple times, and as well as they shot, as well as Emerald played there, and really, I guess the number one thing I want to point out would just have to be, I believe, is E63's monster reset, because that's what saved the game right there.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, we're into our battle. eLevate versus Refuse 1-1 now tied up. We are switching sides onto mines. Let's get right into it and check out what we got for tanks.
eLevate for tanks and an IS-3 at T32 at AMX 1390.
There we go.
3 T54 lightweights in the almighty M44. Refuse 2 IS-3s, 4 T54 lightweights and a T37. Honestly, if eLevate goes hill in this instance, they could win it, but it doesn't look like they're going to take that gamble. And I can't blame them, because it is definitely a gamble anytime you go up there.
We were just talking about how, being in a situation like this, you don't want to throw any curveballs. It might come back and bite you. MRLE getting a nice shot on the E63, but Team Refuse going to take the hill, and not a lot of punishment coming out for the side of eLevate, as the 4 members, Drogon, KT, E63, and Dazzling Time, all make it up on top here. Shot coming out from the Arty. Nothing connecting, though, on top of that hill. And only Rude Awakening seems the guy off onto the side over in that F2 position, just maintaining for Refuse. eLevate, nice little spread defense there. David, looking as far as eLevate goes, right, bringing that artillery, which I always think is just a great tank to bring, just because those resets are easier, being on defense, and but looking at that, their setup, their style, their sort of positioning, Refuse, do they look like they're good holding this hill, or does eLevate seem like they're pretty much prepared for anything?
There is no way to be prepared for everything on mines, because you can on some maps, don't get me wrong. Steps, you can pretty much plan for everything on steps. We'll stay on the map that we're talking about right now. On mines, the thing is, you can only have a certain number of tanks spread in the different spots that you have. Right now, Refuse knows that there's 2 underneath the hill. They probably know where Static is. They have a pretty good guess where Arclet is, and they probably know where Zone Delta is.
Okay.
Whether they know who those people are a completely different thing, but they know that there are tanks there.
Sure.
So, the big question is, how many are actually in the 1-2? If you count more than 1, that means that the eastern side is open, as long as you put the right amount of tanks there and you play it well. If you make any mistakes doing that push, it can be a huge problem. But as we speak, 4 tanks coming out for Refuse, going down the 8-9. They have identified the weakness. They are pushing on it. The question is, can they actually get it done? And this is, trust me, extremely hard to do against a team like eLevate.
All right, let's see. It's Dazzling Time taking a nice shot from Static there. Let's see if eLevate can respond. A lot of shots going on to Dazzling Time from the hill. Amarlee doing a great job. One more shot. Dazzling Time will go down. Static going to pick that one up. And a tank dropping. KT rushing and trying to clean up what's been happening. But the rest of the tanks for the side of Refuse seem to have bailed on this aggressive push. Amarlee coming down the side of the mountain, getting some shots onto E63 there. Now KT and Static. A one-on-one battle just going across the side. But now Drogon, who I actually did not see, getting some good picks onto Static. One more shot, he will go down. KT picking that one up. And now a 1-for-1 exchange, 6-on-6 eLevate versus Refuse. David, looking at that damage just came across from Refuse there. Did you say they pulled that off well? Is that what they wanted to see? Or was
Definitely, and we've got a counter push coming up mid right now. It's all going to come down to whether Refuse can handle this appropriately. Rude Awakening running away from Amarlee. Perfect, exactly what he needs to do. Azrael's alone in his IS-3, which is a huge vulnerability. Refuse getting ready to try and take it home.
Drogon Pro getting another pickup onto the side of eLevate. Rude Awakening taking a lot of damage. One more shot, and he will go down. Amarlee on the reload. There it is, finding him in that T-37, and now up on top. Azrael in that IS-3 trying to find supply, but damn, G-Force are pushing him as well. Zone Delta in that 1390 having 4 shots. Let's see if he can make all of them count. And Arclet in the M44 needs to start making some shots count if he's going to have his team come back from the top. 5-on-5 now, but the health is in favor. Refuse over 400. Drogon finding a lot of members of eLevate as he pushes his way up under the hill. One more shot, he will go down. Zone Delta going to pick that one up. Amarlee coming from the back, trying to help his teammate. KT, though, going to respond by finding Azrael. A lot going on up top. Tanks fighting each other. KT looks like got some ram damage on a G-Forcer there, pushing eLevate off the hill. Zone Delta running for his life as Sublime Banana picks up Amarlee. Coming out on top, Team Refuse doing a great job here against eLevate. 2 tanks remain, one being Arclet in that M44. Zone Delta gonna go down, and it is just Arclet all by himself. As 3 tanks pushing up the hill, they know where he's at, and they are coming from him. Let's see if Arclet can pull off some sweet tank destroyer action, but he will not survive for long. Refuse looking like they're gonna pick this one up.
That was very well played
There
by
it is.
Refuse. I saw. Congratulations to Refuse before we get anything.
Yeah.
Refuse picking that up, making it 2-1. So what I was saying, very few mistakes coming out of Refuse in that situation. I mean, I'd be nitpicking. Just slightly weird positions,
Sure.
perhaps not close enough grouping while moving. Whatever.
They
Who
did a great
cares? All the things that really mattered in that instance, knowing when to push middle,
Hmm.
knowing how to structure that. Maybe they didn't need both IS-3s on top, but that extra firing force was just to make sure if there was any sort of crazy catch going on in that southeast portion of mines, that they were ready to handle it. So everything they did, virtually perfect for how that needs to happen in the current form of meta, which this is bare bones. This is how you play mines from the beginning.
Okay.
The meta comes when people start expecting you to do this, knowing what you're looking for, how to get you to do it, and then how to trap it. So in this instance, I believe it's fairly safe to say Refuse spread, got the spots they were looking for, like we were saying, 2 under hill, 1 in the west, only 1 in the east. Where Arclet is irrelevant because he's just firing, and you know where to get and cover. You can know pretty quickly where he's firing from.
Sure.
Basically, there's like 1 or 2 tanks unaccounted for, and when you shove that many down the 8-9, and you know for a fact there's at least 1 or 2 in the west,
right? You do it with confidence.
You're good to go. And whether they knew, they may have spotted G-Force over there as well, because if there's 2 in the west, that's a screaming sign that the 8-9 is open.
Just go, right?
Only in a few instances where that really won't pay for you, and that's only if you get scared. Say you used to tuck like a 5100 or something in the southeast corner behind those buildings.
Okay.
That can make a lot of people stall in that 8-9 push. But the answer is don't.
Oh, just go.
The fear is
Pedal to the metal.
what'll lose. Yeah. Once you're in there, you're in there. There's no messing around once you've already committed like that.
Yeah, well, it seems 2 aggressive push coming up for Refuse. 1 not working for him so well. This one working beautifully for them as they could 2-1 up onto eLevate. But we're into our next battle, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get right into it and take a look at what do we got for tanks.
eLevate changing up this time, 3 IS-3s, 3 T-54 lightweights, and a T-37. Perhaps not finding the shots they wanted in artillery. And Team Refuse Slight change as well. 2 IS-3s, 4 T-54 lightweights, and an MT-25 instead of the T-37 this time. I'm expecting a little bit more of an active scouting role coming out of Rude Awakening in that MT-25. Okay. That's the tank he likes to use when he does that. Other than that, I really don't know what else they could possibly do. Okay. We've seen this before. And Arclit didn't see him, so now Rude's position.
Oh, a lot of damage coming out onto Team Refuse. They try to take that hill again. eLevate doing a great job punishing them a lot more this time for setting those tanks up there. Now just 2 tanks making it up. E63 having to back out only KT and Dazzling Time up there, but Amarly taking a nice chunk of damage from Kool Hammer, getting dropped to about 50% HP. Now, looking at this startup from eLevate, it obviously seems that they are worried, or they were, making sure that Refuse couldn't take that hill as easily as time. Do you think they succeeded? Because obviously only KT made it up, but it looks like in control for Refuse.
They started with success. Now they have way too many tanks stuck underneath. Their only play seems to be what they're trying to do here. Just wrap around the right side. Looks like they're sending Zim to check it out ahead of time, although there is some action going on here. Nothing I expect to blow up.
Ooh.
Never mind, E63 getting wrecked.
Absolutely. Getting a lot of chunk of damage. He needs to find a way to get out. I don't know if he was tracked. He was tracked, just repairing, making his way back on the hill. Arclit getting some response from Refuse. And now a battle just for this hill. Coming on top, eLevate from the bottom, doing as much damage to Refuse as possible. Dark God Zim coming back around. Static still maintained back there in that K4 line, getting some shots when he can. Now, Refuse being on the offense, the health is fairly close. Refuse just about 200 up against eLevate. Looking at their positions for eLevate, is the reason it's so good to be in Refuse's position right now is because they have the flexibility of just backing out the hill and
yeah, they can go pretty much anywhere as long as eLevate doesn't see them go anywhere and take advantage of the 4 or 5 line being kind of open. But there's a lot of ways to kind of make sure that doesn't happen. Refuse looking for some cheap damage from Rude Awakening here. Not exactly the best tank for that kind of thing. I think I actually read what eLevate was doing incorrectly before when they sent Dark God Zim up the east side. Okay. And I was shaking my head because I was thinking that is a terrible idea. You try and go anywhere from there, Refuse will see you, right? And then you're dead. You don't separate that badly without dying. It's not like you can pull everybody out and go that way, or it's just game over. Instead, they were doing something much more intelligent, and I should have seen it that way to begin with. They sent Dark God Zim up the 8-9 just to make sure that nobody from Refuse was rolling off the hill and coming around for a flank on those guys, absolutely. Which would have been huge. Dark God Zim is now there just making sure they can't do that. However, Refuse is losing a lot of hit points in these little trades. This is a situation where they're losing kind of the messy game that we talked about in the pre-show and before this match. And that is something that is going to come back and haunt them. eLevate starting to make a more aggressive push in the middle, I guess expecting that their overmatch is significant and they can pull this out. Dazzling Time all the way in the back, coming forward. Sublime Banana and Kool Hammer in trouble.
Let's see what happens here as KT also trying to move around the side, maybe possibly trying to find Arclit in that IS-3, but damage coming on across. Azrael and Sublime Banana exchanging some shots. Amarly coming around the corner and taking a lot of damage. That T54, Dazzling Time going to pick him up, not what eLevate would be looking for in Arclit. In a bit of some trouble himself. Drogon coming around the corner. Azrael finding Kool Hammer. A good response coming out from eLevate. And now let's see who can win this brawl here. Who's going to come on top? Will it be eLevate or Refuse as Zone Delta finds Dazzling Time in that T54? Sublime Banana going to respond back by T-Forcer. Back and forth kills. Azrael finding Sublime Banana. It is now a 4-on-4, but Drogon says no, making it a 3-on-4 in favor of Team Refuse here. And the shots are still flying out. E63 doing some good damage on top of the hill. KT finding Dark God Zim finally. Static's gonna find Rude Awakening as he's trying to back off that hill. He knows he's in trouble. Drogon and KT though turning their turrets toward Azrael. One shot from KT coming out, another for Drogon. Azrael's gonna have a shot up. He'll find someone, KT, but it looks like he's gonna go down. One more shot. KT finding that one, and now it is just Static in a T54 lightweight against E63. Drogon and KT not looking great for eLevate here. Drogon just going to be a bully running through. Looks like he just missed the ram. Static turning his attention toward the KT. Let's see if he can find the kill. He does. E63 coming in, and a suicide explosion coming out, making Refuse 3-1. A beautiful little brawl there in the end, sacrificing himself for the greater good. But congratulations again to Refuse, making it now 3-1 as we're about to go into our second map.
sacrificing himself to make sure he's going to be on the highlight reel.
Oh,
I think he knew exactly what he was
that
doing.
guy.
And don't worry, you're
That
probably going to get it
guy.
because that was
Beautiful.
excelente.
I haven't seen that before.
So, really, let's take a little stroll through the stats.
Into stat lane.
Because I don't know for certain, but that match was messy.
Sure.
And I think that eLevate probably could have brought it out had they continued playing a little bit of that game before trying to make a concerted push in definitely unfavorable circumstances. Drogon Pro carrying Refuse in this instance. 13 shots, 12 hits, 11 penetrations. Coolhammer also doing well out of 7 shots. He hit 6, pen 6. Then everybody else kind of dropping down as it goes forward, but a lot of positional play in that instance that made a lot of difference. So just because somebody doesn't put up numbers doesn't mean they're a bad player.
Right, absolutely.
And in fact, sometimes people who put up the highest numbers are the worst player on the team because they let everybody else die without farming damage. That is not the case on eLevate. eLevate just sort of struggling to get an actual intro there, but mostly sharing the damage across the board. Static in the lead. That is 2 games in a row he's done quite well.
Yeah.
Other than that, just not a lot of opportunities for shots for eLevate, aside from that final push that they had there, which once Dazzling Time started moving back, there was a split instant where perhaps they maybe could have won it.
Okay.
And I called out that the tanks were in trouble. I didn't mean that they were in trouble in the sense that they're going to die. I just mean that they're in a spot of trouble.
Yeah.
And it's probably once you've got hill secured like that, you really don't. It's really hard to lose.
Yeah.
I mean, eLevate pushed directly into him, played exactly the way Refuse wanted him to. And like I said, if they had bought a little bit more time, they were winning those little exchange shots.
Right.
That HP was dwindling down.
Yeah.
And I think they may have misread how much of a lead they had. And once Memory Leak moved back into that position, it was game over for eLevate. They tried to push all the way through, which wasn't a bad decision, but it just didn't pan out because the shots from the top of the hill were hit by Refuse, and they matter.
Right, and once you're there, right, you just got to do what you got to go for. Unfortunately, eLevate didn't come out on top. Now, Refuse having a 3-1 lead as we go into our next map, which is Ruinberg, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get right into it and check out the tanks and what we got from both of these sides.
This is a seriously rough position for eLevate to be in. They are on offense.
Oh, there you go.
And they are down. Perhaps should have been a time for a timeout, but in the meantime, eLevate in the red, 2 IS-3s, 3 T-54 lightweights, and 2 LTTBs. Meanwhile, Team Refuse, 1 5100, 2 IS-3s, 2 T-54 lightweights, and 2 LTTBs. Ooh, there's a chance that we would get to see an LTTB battle.
An LTTB off.
I would love that. I would love it. You know, perhaps we can offer them a timeout and just say that it doesn't. This match doesn't matter. It's for style points.
Yeah, get some brownie points in here. But I would, speaking on the side of timeouts, I would assume that if eLevate does lose this one, they are going to want to take a much-needed timeout because Refuse them being up 4-1, and like you said, on defense, they just need to hold for 2 battles, and they will take this. Just in the opening position, Dark God Zim in the city. Arclet saying back there, Dark God doing a good job making sure no one coming through for the side of Refuse. Rude Awakening is the only person who's close, but it doesn't look like he has any interest in the city whatsoever. But down here in the south, we have a lot of tanks from eLevate, finding the 2 tanks for Refuse, E63 and KT. Battle buddies down in the back. Now, David, let's talk about that corner for a little bit, because over down there in that K0 line, it seems that you are behind enemy lines almost, because eLevate is right there. But before I start talking, a lot of shots going across this zone delta, taking a little bit of damage, trying to apply some cap pressure. Let's see if they can push the team of Refuse out of Delta Village and can punish them when they try to get those resets. But while we have kind of a standoff here, just again, David, that southern eastern position that we see EC3 and KT for, what is the main purpose of that?
It is for vision and for containment. If we can get back. Oh, never mind. Memory Leak going down in the LTTB.
Wow.
Narrowly escaping from what it looks like.
Whew. Yeah, doing a good job ducking behind that little hill there, trying to back off as Amaryllis turrets actually turning back toward the side of KT and EC3. Let's see if eLevate trying, and knowing maybe they have Memory Leak on the run, let's see if they put an overmatch here. But I like Drogon, Cool, and Sublime's position. The moment a member of eLevate pushes over onto that road, they were going to get lit up quickly. But KT is still taking some damage in that T-54.
Right now, Refuse is actually going in that direction, not just to support E63, M6, and KT, but to get away from Arclet, who is sitting in the E5 spot with an IS-3, a very hard place to penetrate an IS-3. And if you're up in that village and you're in the wrong spots, he's going to do a lot of damage to you. right now, Refuse way down in the hit point battle. KT and E63 not in the best.
Oh, but some beautiful crossfire coming out against Amor Lee in that IS-3. He was trying to apply cap pressure, but now he needs to get off. One more shot, and he will go down. Coolhammer popping out. Looks like he wants to try to find a bounce. Going on to Sublime Banana from Arclet there. Not what you're looking for. Amor Lee just barely avoiding death there, getting another shot out. Hopefully he can make count. Coolhammer's turret's now turned. He is sure to go down. Let's see if he finds another shot. Going against actually Zone Delta. Sublime Banana getting a good pickup there. And now KT finding Amor Lee all the way down in that K0 position. Looks like Dark Gods and Arclet though trying to find Memory, trying to find some sort of response for what just happened to their teammates. They are going to find it. And Azrael back-to-back kills. Memory Leak and Sublime Banana going down, but over on the side, E63 fighting against Static. KT getting extremely low. E63 gonna find Static. Let's see if Azrael can get that one more shot against KT. He does, finding KT before. Looks like he will go down himself as Drogon almost done, but Coolhammer with the pickup in a nice little position there by those houses. Now a 3-on-4. G-Forcer in a little bit of some trouble there as the team of Refuse going on him hard. He needs to back out in the LTPP quickly. Drogon finding shots, trying to line it up. E63 also getting some shots off. Let's see if G-Forcer can do some damage before he goes down. Drogon, there it is, finding G-Forcer, and now just Arclet and Dark God Zim remain for Refuse. There's Arclet getting some positions, but David, this is not looking good for these two tanks.
That is an understatement. However, Arclet could possibly kill at least one of these tanks, but he's not going to win.
Not going to win.
He should not. I'm not going to say he can't,
right. Yeah.
but he
Now he's on a curse.
definitely should not win in this situation.
Dark God.
There we go. Drogon can jump from behind him. That'll seal it up. Arclet, rip.
Dark God doing a good job finding Rude Awakening in the city, but Drogon gonna pick up Arclet. Didn't find any of the tanks. Now, David, let's see how your famed LTCB can do against 3 enemy tanks pushing us. This shot's going not good at all. A beautiful snipe coming out against Dark God Zim, and now Refuse 4 victories.
Coolhammer snapped that one. He had to.
I just came around the corner.
And again, I'm absolutely positive that when Arclet went down, chat was just spammed with F. Press F to pay respect.
Now,
all right. Really. So you're going to ask.
Well, I was just going to say, we're talking about if, you know, we're going to have Refuse going now 4-1 against eLevate. There it is. The timeout was called for eLevate. Much needed because, again.
Late. I mean,
you think so?
Yeah, well, you're down 3-1.
Okay.
All Refuse needs is 2 wins, and they're on defense on Ruinberg. That's as best of a time to take a break and talk about what you're going to do as anything.
Sure.
You want to cool them off a little bit.
Right, they're already on fire. Right.
And you want to, so anytime, you know, a team like Refuse, and this isn't exclusive to them, but so anytime a team like eLevate takes a break or takes a timeout in that instance, you don't know when you're on the other side. You don't know what they're doing. Perhaps they're sitting in there discussing some really complex strategy.
Sure.
It starts to kind of get in your head.
Okay.
You expect what's coming out next to be something grandiose and something hard to read, something that it was worth taking a time out for. When in reality, most of the time, they're just taking a time out
just to breathe,
just to
take
discuss
some water.
with some basic things and to calm down a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you're on the opposite side, what is in your head is always significantly more intimidating than what the other team is usually doing.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that is a situation which I have described in the past as messy. Not because the gameplay was bad. It's not a bad kind of messy. It's good in that both teams were doing a lot of the right things.
Okay.
And it just got into that positional messy play that we've been talking about. And while eLevate was winning on mines last time doing it, it was definitely going in Refuse's favor this time. You were asking a little bit about what that K0 spot is for. It's low, so the 54s are hard to shoot. It's very few places. I think we saw Amarly go for some shots there, and he had to get so high up that he got ripped by everybody that was behind those buildings through some angles. I wish I could show you. Just go into the map right now, but we're waiting for the next game to start. We wouldn't want to miss that
Maybe next
either.
Well,
I don't think we just can't in general.
That's
true.
That's true.
So it's a strategic position you want to prevent the enemy team from getting, because if they get it, then they can move into Delta. into the little village there, and then it starts tilting into their favor. But if you can deny them from getting it, it sets up everything. That is the whole reason Refuse was able to hold in that situation, and it's going to be really on eLevate to find their way out of it.
And you can't really ignore those C-54s down there as eLevate, because if you turn your back, they're just going to pop over and take some shots on you.
The only thing you can do, so you can either try and get them with just overwhelming force, which usually does not work out, especially if the enemy team has a 5100, because you know it's going to put 6 into you as you go over. Try and get these other raised shots that Emerly tried to get, but was too exposed, because Refuse, obviously studying the village and finding some ways to get those shots in. I actually spoke recently with some of the people from there, and we talked about that kind of thing, and about how studying Delta Village is one of the most important things.
Wow.
My guess is they did it, because that was a pretty good pick they got out of that.
Absolutely. Now let's see, ladies and gentlemen, if Refuse can just take one more battle victory against eLevate and end of the night, or if the timeout for eLevate was worth it and they can win 4 in a row. As we're into our next battle, ladies and gentlemen, Refuse versus eLevate. Same sides as last time. David, what do we got for tanks?
I mean, they've done it before.
They have.
Don't
That's what I'm
count
saying.
it out. On this map.
They've done it before.
On this map. So eLevate with 2 IS-3s, 3 T-54 lightweights, and 2 LTTBs. Team Refuse with 1 5100, 2 IS-3s, 2 T-54 lightweights, and 2 LTTBs. Again, the quad LTTB on the map, something that I'm always excited. Not just because I like light tanks. I like what they represent. I like what it means strategically in the kind of options that you have. And it usually heralds some more exciting play for us to see. Already, a big move coming out from eLevate, taking a different approach to make sure they get the 0 line. This is looking a lot better for them in this situation. KT, the 63, already under fire.
Those shots missing, which is, I'm sure, not what eLevate wanted, but Static and Dark coming in the corner. There's the shots connecting on Z63. Let's see how Refuse can respond, setting them really cool hammer. Now G-Force are taking a lot of response. One more shot, he'll go down. Drogon picking that one up, and a tank down already this early into the game for eLevate. Not looking good for them. Drogon finding another one, Zone Delta. That is 2 tanks. Now a 7-on-5, and they still have not picked up KT or E63 in those C-54s. That aggressive play not looking like it has paid out for them as far as what I can see. Cool Hammer, though, looks like he's going to go down. One more shot, and they'll find him as well, though, trying to find some cover. Dark God Zim. Static, though, 2 for 2, find the way back, trying to claw from this way. Let's see if they can continue doing this. E63 now by himself. Static does it and finds in those T-54 lightweight battles, but Dark God, though, taking a lot of damage, getting dropped so low. But eLevate doing a great job clawing the way back up, finding now Memory Leak. Emerly in that IS-3. One more shot. Looks like he's going to go down as well. With those 2 tanks now, David gone for that K0 line. Dark God finding Memory Leak. A beautiful pick up there. Down on the corner in that K0 position. Now it is a 5-on-3. The turnaround. Amazing for eLevate. Sublime with Hannah, though. Going to try to respond by taking Dark God's in and Rude Awakening in that LTTB. Good little position there. Drogon fully loaded in that AMX 5100, trying to find Emerly. Quickly, a shot goes out. The last one didn't connect. Let's see if he can know Arclight. Gonna find Drogon before he can finish Emerly. A beautiful pick up there for eLevate. A great way to save a teammate. Emerly looks like he's gonna have a shot up. He does not connect, but just Sublime Banana in this Delta Village remains. Arclight gonna pick him up at Rude Awakening, the last tank for Team Refuse. Don't know if he can do anything in the situation. eLevate, a great job turning what seemed to be a really poor opening from them around on its head, coming back, having 3 tanks now to the 1 of Refuse.
Most notably, incredible perseverance and discipline from eLevate in that situation. Yes, to many people, that looked like a bad opening. However, eLevate knew quite well. Congratulations to eLevate.
There you go.
4 to
picking
2,
that one up.
starting to come back. I don't know if they could do it twice.
Ooh, that'd be amazing. Hey, I think you can do it. I think you can do it, eLevate.
But they're now on defense, and that's the exact same situation
They were on last time.
that they were in last time, and they managed to claw back. Actually, no, I think they ended on offense once with a reset. Was it defense? It was defense. Whatever. Who cares? They came back from a huge deficit. They tied it up and won in a tiebreaker.
Let's talk about that
opening.
opening.
They could do it again. So the opening. eLevate knew that, yes, that opening is going to go bad. You're pushing a 50-100. It's going to drop the pain on you. The question is, can you get him to spread the shots out enough? Can you get him to kill the tanks that don't matter as much, like LTTBs and those kinds of things? And they're huge. I mean, you kill them, you kind of wasted some shots, kind of.
Okay.
You don't kill them, it adds up fast because they do a ton of damage, those little things. But for 5100, it's typically better to put your shots on something that matters, like 54s. That will let the IS-3s, something like that, handle it. But in general, 5100, and I'm not hating on anybody, you just get the shots that you get, and you kill what you can, and you try and clip and come back as quickly as possible. Nothing really worth going over statistically, and I'll get back to what I was talking about in a second. But just before the match starts or whatever, I just want to point out that Static, 15 shots, 14 hits, 13 pens in his T-54 lightweight.
Wow.
Ridiculous numbers coming out from him tonight. Really wish I had put him on my team instead of Arclet at this point, because he is making it rain. Anyways, so the 5100, once he starts clipping, that is when eLevate started climbing back. You're starting to wonder, where did that firepower come from? They got enough damage on the 254s. They had the isolation on the 254s. Once they sustained that initial front load from the 5100, they just took a little bit of time to crawl back. And they could have closed it faster. They really needed to take advantage of when that 5100 was reloading, because if he got in there and nailed a couple shots, it could have flip-flopped yet again. But as it was, it paid out for eLevate with dividends this time.
Yeah, let's see if they can pull off another victory, as they have to continue winning, because Refuse just needs one more. Like David was saying, eLevate is on defense now. Ladies and gentlemen, we're ready for our next battle. Let's get right into it and check out what do we got for our tanks.
Something I really didn't expect to see at all. We'll get to that in a second. Team Refuse trying to close their victory with 5 T-54 lightweights and 2 LTTBs, but they are up against a 5100, 2 IS-3s, a T-54 lightweight, 2 LTTBs, and an ISU-152.
Oh, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, out of all TDs, it's definitely not the one that I would have expected to see in this instance.
Where's the waffle?
If you get a shot out of that thing on the right target, it is mean. So
really?
It can work.
What's one of the major drawbacks of it?
It's just kind of easy to kill. A lot easier than a waffle, because the Borsig, the Roomba, whatever you want to call it, can turn a turret and kind of dance around.
Whoa.
The fixed gun on the ISU is the biggest problem. It can only face forward.
Refuse looks like they're trying to copy what eLevate has done, putting a lot of aggression, all their tanks over onto the southeastern cap here, but ignoring it completely and trying to, listen, they want to control Delta Village as eLevate is being forced to back out. Refuse has claimed it, but now they're pushing even further, trying to find the overmatch if they can. Rude Awakening on the front of the charge, taking some damage there in the LTTB. Now shots going back and forth. Arclet, though, going to find Rude Awakening. A good pickup there for eLevate. Coming on like Dark Cloud Zim, very low himself, has to be careful though. More damage, crossfires, shots going all over the place. Amber Lee getting dropped extremely low. KT gonna find that one. And now a 1-for-1 exchange. No, 2-for-1 as ZZ3 also finding Dark God Zim. eLevate down a tank to the side of Refuse, and the shots continue to pour out. Refuse doing a great job holding this Delta Village, but some of their tanks are getting low. Drogon though gonna find Static, and now 6 tanks to the side of 4 for eLevate. David, that opening was insane.
That was almost exactly what Refuse wanted. They let too many shots come out of Amar Lee in the 5100 because he got all 6 out, and you want to kill him before he does that. But other than that, they have control. LTTB G-Forcer is the only real thing that can aggress and reset them here. Both IS-3s and the ISU are tucked all the way back. The T-54 lightweights have great camo. They can camp and just make sure these guys don't press, but eLevate has no choice but to press into them. However, I'm not sure Refuse can deny them from getting there in the time it's going to take them to cap. Only time will tell in this instance. G-Force are going down. That is a huge pickup for Refuse. The only really big problem for resets going down. Both IS-3s progressing right now. Cool Hammer running away.
Oh, Refuse doing a great job on this offense here on Ruinberg, just pushing everything they had into Delta Village. Now just 14 seconds remaining on cap. eLevate has to push in now. Their tanks are healthy. Azrael, a good initial pickup onto Cool Hammer there. Zone Delta, looks like he's holding the shot. They need to find someone to take down. They need to find the reset, and they need to find it quickly. Azrael now on the reload as well. Zone Delta lining up a shot. Let's see who's taking on. He finds it on KT. The reset comes through. Azrael taking another shot out. Let's see who he's going to focus. It goes he puts to Drogon. Drogon going down in that T-54, and Arclet coming around the corner in that ISU. One shot loaded and ready to go. Let's see if they can find it. Arclet does find Memory Leak, and now it is a 2-on-3. Zone Delta dropping E63 extremely low, but Arclet has a long reload. Let's see if they can hold out in time. KT pushing against this IS-3. But a shot going onto Arclet, just missing. He now is loaded and ready to go. He finds E63. eLevate making it a 2-on-2, doing their best to claw back what seemed like a very bad opening from them. Refuse now doing their trying to find Arclet, taking some shots, but KT and Sublime Banana both extremely low here. If Zone Delta can find a pickup, it'll be amazing. He takes a shot onto Sublime. Nothing connects yet. 3 minutes and 28 seconds on the clock, but an explosive battle. And eLevate doing a great job here with the hold. Zone Delta trying to hold that. KT and Sublime need to be careful here as they push into this village.
Absolutely. Arclet is the one who can take the front damage, but he needs to stay alive or Zone Delta will die. Two T-54s are nothing to trifle with. Zone Delta getting shot. Sublime Banana goes down.
A beautiful pickup from Zone Delta there. Now it is a 2v1. Arclet just needs to go out and try to draw a shot from KT, who is not healthy in that T-54 lightweight. One shot from Zone Delta, and he'll pick up another one. eLevate, a great job coming back. Now 3-4 against Refuse. David, I believe they could do it again. They're looking fantastic. That opening, but okay, let's break it down from beginning to end. That opening from Refuse looked great. They came in, they got control over Delta Village. They took down, I believe, 3 tanks for the side of eLevate. Where did it go wrong for them? I mean, did it just losing the health on their way back?
Too much cap pressure.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen.
It is that simple.
Too much cap
All
pressure.
they had to do was lock down the ability of those IS-3s to move up and not get clicked by the ISU, which
happened.
It happened several times. I mean, he got an LTTB in one of those, which kind of was an opening. I know Arclet clicked it on purpose because the LTTB can get around behind him and kill the ISU really fast. Really fast. So that's a huge problem for him. It's just like he's in an artillery. They needed to kill MR Lee's 5100 without him getting all 6 out. That's too much damage for a tank that got isolated that quickly. I don't know if they were blocking each other's shots or what happened there. Just not enough focus on him.
Okay.
Once they got all those positions that they wanted, and they took a little bit too much damage doing it, but once they got them, they just needed to keep vision in that general lane, probably not fire with whoever is doing the spotting, because then he would get clicked by IS-3s or ISUs or whatever, and just have a lot of guns to make sure that if they try and push those IS-3s down the only 2 real avenues they have, that they're taking damage the whole way down. And there's a lot of angles you can put them in to make sure you don't get shot by the ISU while you're doing it. That really should have been Refuse's game, but they pulled back, they got greedy, they put too many tanks on cap, and that gave eLevate the entire road they needed to come back. And there's only one guy there trying to stop them from coming back. And he couldn't, because 2 IS-3s can block you out of that lane no problem.
Wow, well, an exciting battle indeed as eLevate now 3-4 trying to claw their way back here. Let's see if they can tie this one up. Or again, Refuse still just needing one more. Let's see if they can take it. eLevate still on defense. Refuse going to be on offense. Let's get right into the battle and take a look at what do we got for tanks.
One thing's for certain, you do not want to assault the northern cap right now. It's a huge meta gamble in general. We can discuss that again in a minute.
Okay.
5 T-54s for 5 T-54 lightweights for Team Refuse, 2 LTTBs, the same thing they ran last time. eLevate with them 150-100, 2 IS-3s, an ISU 152, T-54 lightweight, and 2 LTTBs. I would expect eLevate to go in the same positions they were in. The ISU is not very good in other places. That is a reliable thing. Meanwhile, Refuse, if they go north, they can expect to reach that ISU. Maybe there's a kind of a sense of logic of getting on top of him quickly and killing him, but at the same time, you get really damaged in doing so. Opening shots,
nothing connected
from Refuse. They're just looking for a quick grab.
Sure.
Risking Rude for the spots. Everybody else waiting. Almost got static, but now they have enough information to know that there are tanks in Delta. In the village, in between E9 and 0, that kind of general area.
Sure.
It's what we call Delta Village, for those of you who don't already know. So they have enough to know that the north is kind of open. They should also know well enough that eLevate knows that. And they are taking a southern approach. Really, at this point in time, I have nothing but sympathy for them. Any direction they go is not great at this point in the game. It's really just a gamble anywhere you go, aside from rotating a whole lot back and forth to try and make your own destiny, your own fate.
Make your own head games.
But you're likely just to suffer as much as eLevate is in that instance. This is not a bad angle whatsoever. They know it's kind of clear. They're going to get back into Delta this time with less risk than they had last time. The question is, can they make it pay for them better than they did before? It is generally the same situation. They just didn't get pickups, but they have slightly better positions, more on cap to start, dragging that ISU across the road to begin with. This is anybody's battle at this point in time. It's going to be whoever shoots better, end of story.
Let's see what happens. Like we were talking about, those messy battles really comes down to just team cohesion, shot calling, and just having those targets all lined up, not blocking anyone's shots. The cap now down to 12 seconds. eLevate starting to push the pressure on. It is now down to 10. Let's see who's going to come out and who's going to take the shots. 6 seconds left. G-Forcer making his way across to his static. His shot actually not connecting. G-Forcer's shot not connecting either. They need to find a shot quickly as the cap going down. There it is finally. Zone Delta getting the shots in the battle. Has taken off. Explosions going around all over the place. Cool Hammer in the Delta build is getting dropped extremely low in the T-54 lightweight, but G-Forcer, LTV, but the cap runs out! The cap ran out! Whoa! Refuse. Capturing it. eLevate did not get the resets they were looking for.
Cap
Cap is important.
fast.
Wow.
That was one of, I mean,
Wow.
capping is always a part of the game, right? But
Right.
that was one of the most well-executed cap fasts I have ever
That was
seen.
fantastic.
The order in which they put the tanks on, how they covered the people who had the right amount of points, all reflected where the shots were going to come in from, and they knew it. They knew they were going to come from the
Genius.
angles where the shots did come from. They structured everything appropriately. That was not just some sort of rush to get a cap.
that was
There was a
calculated.
lot of layers of intelligence to that.
Wow.
eLevate made significant mistakes by bringing that ISU twice, if you ask me, because you already know where it's going to go.
Okay.
The first time's a shock factor. We could talk about that for quite a while.
Yeah,
but
but congratulations.
great game, Refuse, taking down eLevate for the second time this season. I don't think anybody saw that coming in the beginning of the season.
Doing a great job, just coming back from, or not coming back, but just finding these aggressive plays, doing things that we've never seen. These amazing caps, like you were talking about, eLevate missing some of those shots in the beginning, but congratulations now, 5-3, a great victory coming out for Refuse there, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with match number 2. #RU versus Synergy Gaming.